Hi, everybody. My name is Faith Homan. I am getting my master's at SLU in organizational leadership and development. I'm pretty far along in my program here, and I'm excited to share a little bit about what I have been researching, and I'm looking forward to hearing about everything that you guys have been researching. Okay, so the topic that I have spent the last several weeks researching is cross departmental collaboration and communication. Um, I also referred to this throughout my research paper as horizontal communication. So basically, I am looking at all of those types of communication that happen across departments. So, across specialties or whatever your organizational structure looks like. I'm looking at people who maybe don't on paper do the same thing, and what that communication across those spheres looks like. I found a lot of good information on this topic, and it was really intriguing to me just the ways that cross departmental communication really heightened organizations, the way that it made those organizations function better. And open systems framework really worked well with my topic because kind of the way that I took the approach to open systems framework in this topic was just, open systems framework helps us put organizations in their context. So, open systems framework looks at both the external environment and the internal environment. So, really, it makes us look at organizations the way that they really should be looked at because they don't exist on an island. So, we can make a bunch of great opinions about organizations, but if we look at those organizations like they exist on an island and are not dependent and working with the environment in which they operate, practitioners, leadership, even employees are going to miss a lot of things. So this topic really fits into the internal environment of an organization. So part of what I talk about is, doing this horizontal communication on purpose because it's going to happen at organizations no matter what. People in other departments are going to form relationships across those organizational silos. But how can organizational leadership capitalize on that and make it something that really benefits the way that the organization operates? Okay, so one of the tools that I used in my OD consultant toolbox was this relational coordination model. I took this image directly from Daft, but Daft actually elaborated and expanded on the work of Nicolay Warren. So Nicolay Warren established kind of this XY axis chart that you see, and Daft kind of added what's circled there, where he added kind of some concrete tools that organizations can implement into their structure. So just a little bit of an overview of the tool. Basically, it's a chart, and organizations are meant to kind of find where they fall on this XY axis diagram. So on the y-axis, you see the degree of departmental separation, and on the x-axis, you see the amount of work process coordination required. So one of the limitations of this tool is that organizations have to figure out where they lie on this graph. So that is a lot of groundwork that's easier said than done in terms of organizational structure because you really have to audit your current processes and procedures and see really how much separation exists today and how much collaboration do we want to exist in the future. So organizations kind of have to do that work, and certainly that work could be done in tandem with an OD consultant, where that outside perspective is really just helping organizations look at their structures and see, hey, where do silos exist that are really bad for our organization? And maybe there are some silos that need to continue to exist. I work in the financial industry, and there are a couple departments in my organization that really are supposed to exist on an island, whether it's our internal audit or, our BSA officers. They have to kind of exist outside of collaboration a lot of the time. But there are other organizations, I'm just thinking like front facing, and then, our back facing clients. those two departments, front facing and the operational side, have to work together, because if they're not on the same page, then our outside clients aren't getting a good experience all the way around. So organizations kind of just have to figure out where they want to be on this diagram. And what's great about this tool is that it really makes theory kind of come down to earth and be more boots on the ground. So after organizations kind of figure out where they are, where they want to be, DAFT provides just a slew of tools that really give organizations practical next steps. And OD consultants, I think, could be really valuable in helping organizations implement these next steps, because once you start establishing liaison roles or full-time integrators, those are things that organizational consultants can really work with senior leadership on establishing. Okay, so now just to offer a little bit of reflection on my topic, I threw kind of my two main takeaways up here on the slide. The first is that this cross-departmental collaboration and communication is extremely reliant on relationships. The Harvard Business Review video from week 7 had a quote that I wrote down that said that relationships don't only come when there are problems. And I think in a lot of our organizations, mine too, in the financial industry, a lot of times the only time that we are talking to people in other departments is when there is an issue. And when that issue comes, we need a bunch of help, and we need help from accounting, and we need help from risk, and we need help from all of these departments that typically we don't speak to. And I think that is a damage to our organization, because I think when we behave in a reactive way rather than a proactive way, that more mistakes happen. And I think that when you build relationships with people across departments, you get diversity of opinion, you get, more opportunity for growth, and your organization starts to operate less like a ladder and a very formalized organizational chart, hierarchy, and more just like a group of people who are working towards a common goal. And I think that leads right into my second main reflection, that organizational leadership is the key to making sure that this happens. I think that leaders are in a position to either encourage or discourage horizontal communication, and leadership has to make horizontal communication a priority. Throughout the research that I found, over and over it said that organizations are more effective and they generate more profit and they work better when their employees are talking to each other and collaborating, because it's great to love individual work, but often in big organizations, or even medium-sized or small organizations, you have to have more than one person in the room so that you get that diversity of opinion. And I think that leadership is really the key to making sure this happens. I recently transitioned roles at my financial institution into a digital focused role, and it's a new department. And so part of our role in this new department is to make sure that every organization and every organizational department at our financial institution is leaning towards our goals. And so I get to be a part of, several projects and teams where there's a lot of cross-departmental communication and focus. And I think that this research has really helped me realize that it's good. And, there are a lot of perspectives in those rooms, and often it feels like, we're butting heads because we're all coming from our specific department's experience. But, we talked about this in the class too, that often conflict leads to creativity. And so I think that this work and this class has really helped me kind of focus that interest and focus on that kind of better organizational structure goal. Thanks everybody for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I've had a good time researching this topic, and I'm excited to kind of dig into it more as I kind of progress through this program. Just a note that my sources, I have included a Word document on this discussion post as well if anyone's interested in those sources. I'm looking forward to hearing everybody's feedback.